Hello! Today I will be talking about a group project that was done for a psychology research methods class at Mount San Jacinto College. This experiment was conducted by Lindsay Witt, Jasmine Jacob, Brianna Martinez, and myself, Ashley Young. We did this experiment to see if the age or gender of a speaker had any effect on how trustworthy their listeners perceived them to be. A speaker's goal is typically to educate or influence their audience in some way, so we wanted to know if the audience would be more influenced by a younger female, a younger male, an older female, or an older male. A previous study done by Shermer et al. Suggested that women were found to be more trustworthy than men. Another study by Gordon et al. Found that older speakers were considered less competent than younger speakers. So based on this previous research, we believe that we would find that women and younger speakers would be considered more trustworthy than men and older speakers. Interestingly, what we did find was that gender had no effect on trustworthiness. Additionally, age had no effect on trustworthiness. And finally, we found that there was no interaction between gender and age on perceived trustworthiness of the speakers. As you can see in the bottom left corner, the mean of the older females was 43.13 with a standard deviation of 7.30. The mean of the younger females was 42.27 with a standard deviation of 12.07. The mean of the older males was 43.14 with a standard deviation of 6.96, and the mean of the younger males was 45.27, and the standard deviation was 16.25. The study was conducted by sending out surveys to the researchers' friends, family, and classmates. They received a Google Docs survey that began with an informed consent. It followed by instructions telling the participants they would be listening to and analyzing an audio clip. Then on the next page, there was an audio clip with one of the four speaker conditions, either the younger woman, the older woman, the younger male, or the older male. Each clip was a neutral statement about 1 minute long, talking about breathing and the effects of smoking. The clip was then followed by a small written profile that casually mentioned the speaker's age and gender. Then there were 8 questions assessing the trustworthiness of the speaker, a manipulation check to make sure the participants understood the age and gender of the speakers, a demographics section, and a debriefing to explain what the purpose of the study was. There were a total of 37 participants who completed the survey. It was sent out randomly, and each participant was randomly assigned to one of the 4 conditions. And then they were finally debriefed. The study was a 2x2 experimental between subjects design. All the data was collected using the Google Docs survey and then was analyzed on SPSS using a 2-way ANOVA test at a significance level of 0.05. One possible reason that our study did not align with prior studies is that 47.4 of our participants had some college education. In fact, most of them had some type of degree. It's been understood in recent literature that higher education is linked with less bias, and so having participants who have so much educational background may have contributed to less of a bias in the results. One other reason this could have been the case is because the mean age of our participants was 28, meaning that we have quite a younger generation that was taking the survey. Since they were younger, these biases that were in the older studies may not be as prevalent as they are with the younger ages. Another reason this could have been different results than prior studies is that most of the participants in our study were in a relationship, and actually 86.8% of them are attracted to the opposite sex. So most of our participants had a lot of exposure to the opposite sex, and that may have helped reduce the bias towards gender. Some strengths of our study was that each speaker condition had the same exact description. It was the same name, same sentences. The only thing that was different was the pronouns and the age. We also had a successful manipulation check, meaning almost everyone understood how old their speaker was, and what gender their speaker was. Also, all of the speakers had the same basic Californian English dialect, so there was no huge difference in dialect to account for. Some of the limitations of our study was that some of the speakers' voices may not have been distinct enough to reflect the age. We also did not control for things like measure, cadence, pitch, speed, frequency, or any of those other vocal details, which may be something that contributes to perceived trust. And in addition, almost half of the participants of our study were classmates, and so they were aware of the true purpose of the study. One implication of the study could be that any kind of platform like informational radio shows, podcasts, movies, teachers, anything like that, they can have a diverse cast, they can have diverse speakers, and maybe won't be seen as less credible. They can feel more comfortable having a diverse speaker. One future study idea would be to narrow it down to distinct accents and dialects and see if that affects credibility. For example, Black English versus Chicano English, or Boston versus Southern accents, to see if there's any difference in results depending on that. All right, thank you for listening, and have a good rest of your day.